Hi you guys, how you doing? Okay, so I wanted to come on and share this. So I've had this book about astrology for about 20 something years, okay? And I've read through it a few times and it came with a little disc and I put it in my computer and all that good stuff. But anyway, so I just so happened to have come across it in my book collection and I busted it out and I've been like meaning to go through it and read it just to like check some stuff out to refresh my memory on things. And I get to the back of the book and because I was just flipping through the pages and it's chapter like 13 and it talks about the Age of Aquarius. And then it has like all the other ages and the time zone in it, right? And they're just little tiny sections on each of those ages, right? And I noticed that the Age of Aquarius is like the biggest section of all. So, like, if it was already, you know, pre-written, pre-planned type stuff. So, I wanted to come on and read it a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and read the whole thing, and excuse the crazy hair. I had a lot of hairspray in it, and it's going a little wild. Anyway, so I like my wild hair. It says the Age of Aquarius. It says everyone, and we're in the Age of Aquarius, so here we are. And it also says in another book called the Bible that when we see the man with the water pitcher, Aquarius, enter into the upper room. And when we meditate, we go into the upper room, right? Okay, so I just thought I'd throw that in there because Jesus said, if thine eye be single, your body will fill with light. God is light. So when we're meditating, filling our body with light, we know who we're filling our body with, right? So anyways, let's leave that religious stuff out and let's go ahead and get on to the Age of Aquarius. It says, everyone seems to have heard about the Age of Aquarius, depending on the astrologer you consult. We have either begun or will soon begin the Aquarian age. But what exactly is the Age of Aquarius? To answer that question, we must backtrack a little. As you know, looking at the sun from our vantage point here on Earth, it travels around the Earth once a year on its journey. The sun travels a narrow path called the ecliptic and passes through the 12 signs of the zodiac. When the foundation stones of the science of astrology were first formally put in place in Babylonian times, the signs of the zodiac were named after actual constellation of stars in the sky. Those early astronomers, the three wise men, had noticed that the sun journeyed through the same constellations every year. During the spring, the sun crossed over the constellation of Aries. In the fall, the path of the sun crossed over the constellation of Libra. The beginning of the astrological year is a point called the Vernal Equinox. This is where the sun's path crosses the celestial equator. And that is the line that divides the heavens into the northern half and the southern half. At that point, day and night are equal in length. The word equinox comes from the Latin word meaning equal night, i.e., night is equal to the day. There are two equinoxes during the year, vernal and autumnal. The vernal equinox begins spring. The autumnal equinox begins autumn. The vernal equinox also begins the first astrological sign Aries, and the first half of the zodiac, the autumnal equinox, begins the seventh sign Libra, and the second half of the zodiac. When astrology was first formalized, the vernal equinox signaled the beginning of the sun's entrance not only into the sign of Aries, but also into the constellation of Aries At that time, the two were considered to be identical. Since then, however, astrology and astronomy have diverged. The signs of the zodiac no longer corresponded to the same constellations in the sky. Thus, nowadays, when an astronomer talks about Taurus, he or she means the actual group of stars in the heavens that make up the constellation of Taurus. I happen to be a Taurus. Yay! He or she means the actual group of stars in the heavens that make up the constellation of Taurus. When the astrologer talks about Taurus, he or she refers to the second astrological sign at 30-degree segment of the zodiac that controls the whole set of characteristics, symbols, and associations. It was the 2nd century BC that the Greek astronomer named Hipparchus discovered the phenomenon called the precession of the equinoxes. He found that ever so slowly the Earth shifts in its position as it spins through the solar system. Scientists sometimes refer to the slight shift as the Earth's wobble because it somewhat resembles a top wobbling as it spins. Instead of remaining upright, the poles of the Earth, like the top and the bottom of the spinning toy, lean from side to side as the Earth revolves on its axis. I gotta make sure my phone doesn't go off. Over the span of a great many years, this learning of the Earth changes the placement of the celestial equator, because the celestial equator is on the same line as the Earth's equator, except that it is projected out into the heavens. Therefore, as the position of the Earth shifts, the line of the celestial equator shifts. All of this adds up to the fact that as time passes, vernal equinox, the point where the path of the sun crosses the celestial equator, takes place in an entirely different constellation. This slow motion of the Earth's tilt is called a precession of the equinoxes because during the span of many, many years, the equinoxes slowly travel through all constellations of the zodiac in backward order. If they traveled in forward, no doubt it would have been called a precession of the equinoxes. When the Babylonians calculated the zodiac, the vernal equinox took place in the constellation of Aries around the time of the birth of Christ, meaning of AD. And the Earth had shifted enough so that the vernal equinox took place in the constellation of Pisces. Around the year AD 2000, the vernal equinox began to take place in the constellation of Aquarius. Hence, this is the drawing of the Age of Aquarius. This is the dawning of the Age of Aquarius. Little by little, at the infinitesimal rate of approximately 1 degree every 7.5 years, the equinoxes move through the zodiac in the space of about 2,150 years. The equinoxes move through the sign of the zodiac in the time span of approximately 25,820 years. The equinoxes move through the entire 12 signs of the zodiac. This 26,000 year time span is called the Great Year. With each 2,100 year transit through the sign is called the Great Month. A great month is also referred to as an age. For the past 2,000 years or so, mankind was living in the age of Pisces. We have now entered the age of Aquarius. Because such vast amounts of time are evolved, it is difficult to give an exact year to the beginning of the new age. For example, some astrologers mark the beginning of the Aquarian age at the end of the World War II. The Venerable Astrological Association, the Church of Light, puts the date as early as 1881. Astrologer Capel Macrichion believes we entered the New Age in the 1970s with the advent of the computer. The psychologist Carl Jung and the astrologer Charles James both predicted that the New Age would begin during the decade of the 1990s. Others, like the Irish astrologer Cyril Fagan, set the date as far ahead. And we're now in the Age of Aquarius. I mean, and I've had this book for like 20 years. I just find it kind of cool that I'm sitting here reading it like this. Crazy hair and all. Anyways, far ahead as 2300, 2400. The consensus, however, is that as of the year 2000, we are definitely in the Age of Aquarius. Each age is characterized by the astrological sign of that era. During its existence, our Earth has gone through thousands of great years. Scientists estimate our Earth to be as old as 4.6 billion years, which means that it has passed through almost 177,000 great years. But man's ancestors, creatures who first walked upright on two legs, have been on Earth for only 115 great years, in quote, like 3 million years, and Neanderthal man walked this Earth only 9 great years ago. 9 great years ago. Okay. So astrologers trace mankind's written history only as far back as the Age of Leo. So we have the Age of Leo. The circa was 10,000 BC to 8,000 BC. And I'm going to go ahead and read a little bit about each one of them because there's only a little bit on each of the ages. And then it takes us back to some more Aquarius. Okay, so we have the Age of Leo, which was circa 10,000 BC and to 8,000 BC. This age is characterized by the energy of creativity, human beings learning how to use their environment. Men and women lived in caves and learned to refine highly finished and polished stone implements. The sun, ruler of Leo, was the paramount importance to Neolithic, New Stone Age people. For during this era, human beings acquired a limited ability to raise food, agriculture, rather than merely hunt and gather. According to the astrologers, cave paintings from this age, man's first written history, show a marked Leo influence. The Age of Cancer, circa 8,000 BC to 6,000 BC. This was during the age of the human beings abandoned their caves and formed fixed dwellings above ground. The Cancerian influence to make a home. Mankind learned to spin and weave and make pottery. They began to grow varied crops and to domesticate animals. Moon worship and fertility rites abounded during this era. Cancer is ruled by the moon and the sign of the domesticity. I know I said that wrong. I totally said that wrong. Fertility and motherhood. The Age of Gemini. The circa was 6,000 BC to 4,000 BC. The age is marked by the development of writing. Gemini is the sign of communication. Mankind expanded its intellectual capabilities by beginning to record and to store information. The invention of the wheel made rudimentary commerce and travel possible, both ruled by Gemini. The Age of Taurus, circa 4,000 BC to 2,000 BC. The great Egyptian civilization, with its emphasis on cultivation of land and new technology of buildings, the pyramids, echoes the influence of the earthly Taurus. Both the aesthetic nature of Taurus and its solidity are reflected in the beautiful art and architecture of this age. The Age of Aries, circa 2000 BC to 1 BC. And it says, the era is known as the Iron Age. When mankind learned to fashion weapons from iron, Aries ruled the metal iron. The age was also characterized by its militancy and aggressive spirit. During this era, Assyria and the Greek city-state rose to power. and Alexander the Great conquered the world. In the latter part of the age, militaristic Rome became the most powerful empire ever known. Imagine that. And then, like, the Roman Empire and the Vatican are all together. And I have a whole nother story about all that I like to speak about, but we're not going to intrude on our little Age of Aquarius reading. And then it says the Age of Pisces. The circa was AD 1 to AD 2000. The enormous influence of Christianity changed the world during this era. Pisces is the sign of the spiritual knowledge. The fish, symbol of Pisces, is also the symbol of Christianity. Drawings of the fish were used, secret signs behind the early Christians. Christ called his apostles fishers of men. This age is marked by sacrifice and struggle, qualities associated with Pisces. Okay, and then here is the interesting part that I really couldn't wait to get to. And it says, what will the Age of Aquarius look like? Now, I've had this book for a while, and I'm surprised I haven't. Well, maybe I did read it way back then, and I just don't remember. There has been a lot going on just in the past few years. But anyway, so it says, what will the Age of Aquarius look like? For clues, we must look at the sign of Aquarius. Aquarius is the sign of brotherhood and humanitarianism. In the coming era, astrologers expect that the concept of individual nations will fade and humankind will join together as one people rather than be separated into nationalities. Thus, in the Age of Aquarius, we may reach at last a long-held ideal of world peace. Predictions are that there will be a great emphasis on the common man, and that special privilege for people of high birth or wealth will become an antique notion. The aristocrat of the future will be the person of learning and achievement. Aquarius is a sign of scientific knowledge and intervention and rules the airwaves. It is impossible to imagine what mind-boggling inventions will take place in the next 2,000 years. But astrologers predict incredible journeys through space will definitely be one of them, not just travel in our own solar system or even our own galaxy, but into the universe beyond. There will be space arcs and that can transport multitudes of people, space colonies, and interstellar travel. The achievement of travel to the stars will indeed be remarkable when one considers that Pluto, our outermost planet, is only 5.0 light minutes distance from us, while the nearest star, not counting our own sun, is 4.3 light years away. Aquarius is a mental sign, and the future should be marked by as yet unthinkable intellectual achievement. There will be concern for the environment and the discovery for new technology to solve the problems of dwindling supplies of energy and resources on Earth. The power of atomic energy, electronics, and aviation, all Aquarian inventions, will be harnessed for the greatest possible use. Already the computer has reshaped the world. Oh boy, hasn't it? And I can't take my eyes off the book. I lose my spot. Okay, let me go find my spot. Okay, here we go. Okay, the way we communicate and conduct all business and keep records. Some scientists and psychologists say that the computer has already started to reconfigure how the human brain thinks. Aquarius is a practical sign. The purpose of knowledge is to make use of it, not simply for the sake of knowing. Astrologers have special place in their hearts for Aquarius because it is the sign associated with astrology. We have already seen an upsurge of interest in astrology at the dawning of the Aquarian age. As someone once remarked, astrology is the religion of the new generation. In the coming age, astrology will no longer be thought of as a superstitious arcane or secret knowledge possessed by a few. It will be a respected scientific inquiry available to everyone. And it's probably was looked upon like that because in the Bible it says that people should stay away from it when people don't realize like where that came from, and we need to seek knowledge and make sure that we're standing in the truth of everything and not just take someone's word for it, or you can't believe the lies and that type of thing. When I was a teenager, I was all into astronomy and the signs and the heavens and all that kind of stuff, because that's like in the very beginning of the Bible. That's what it says. Like there'll be signs in the heavens. So you need to know all the signs and all the things that go with it. And that's where that was really cool because I didn't let just one book rule my world. I went ahead and kind of seeked out in other places also. But at that young age, I was busy living life also. So, anyways, back to the book. Perhaps it is a wishful thinking to say that in the age of Aquarius, mankind will achieve universal harmony. But after all, Aquarius is a sign of hopes and wishes. Astrologers hope that the Aquarian age we will build on past knowledge to discover the new truths. Aquarius is a truth seeker. Granted, the predictions are based on the positive qualities of Aquarius. Such negative qualities as an inflexibility and vacillation and the pursuit of selfish desires will also be a part of the new age. Mankind has not evolved so high that we can expect a new race of totally unselfish and idealistic people. We also must surmount grave problems. There is a terrible danger of so overpopulating our world that only global war, disease, and famine will reduce our numbers. We are that just sounds too familiar. We are using up our natural resources at the alarming rate, stripping our planet bare of plant and animal species and its ability to sustain life. Most terrifying of all, we have the atomic power to completely destroy ourselves and quite likely the earth along with us. Still, the Age of Aquarius offers us hope. Uranus, ruler of Aquarius, is called the planet of the future. For within its domain lie modern science, intervention, electricity, and humanitarian movements. Uranus is the planet of the power of will and of unconscious purpose. A promise is held out to us. We can build a wonderful new world, or we can lose all that we have. It's up to the new universal Aquarians, in other words, ourselves. And I just thought that was really cool and pretty interesting, considering I've had this book for a long time, and now knowing that we're in the Age of Aquarius, and it was like sitting in front of me the whole time, and I'm just like, okay, well, I've gone through the book, I've read, because it has a lot of, it has so much cool stuff in it. This is stuff that we kind of need to know, and it's the only astrology book you'll ever need. And so I just wanted to come on and share that with you guys tonight. It was talking about the Age of Aquarius and a little rundown of some of the other ages. And right now I was just sitting out here writing my book, because I'm writing a book or two or three. But right now I'm working on one specific one. And I will talk to you guys later. I love you guys. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll be back with more videos. Have a beautiful night. I love you.